This podcast was recorded and produced on Gadigal land.
We would like to acknowledge the traditional custodians and pay our respect to elders past and present.
Ladies and gentlemen, can I please have your attention?
This is my final maths-related interview.
They're talking about me. She's like, yep.
It was Australia's reaction.
This is an exclusive.
Caused a lot of drama and it never got aired. It just went nuts.
Hello and welcome back to Reality. I'm Selina.
And I'm Tahnee.
And today we have the most exciting guest. We have been wanting this person for so long on Back to Reality. She has graced our screens many times. She not only won Love Island, she was a bombshell on another season.
And another one.
And on Love Island Games. And she's just come back from the jungle. She's just done I'm a Celeb, Get Me Out of Here. It is Tina Provis.
Hey.
Woo!
What an intro.
Yeah.
Thanks,
Selina's
guys.
great on the
Happy
intros.
up, happy up. Don't stop. I love that.
It's been a hot minute. I've been saying, please come on for so long. And now you're finally here. I manifested this.
Yes, you did. I feel like, schedules.
Booked and busy.
Yes,
naturally.
Yes, but we're here now.
Tell us everything.
Oh,
Why
goodness.
the jungle?
Why? Yeah. Why? Everything. Why
So I was
did you
born
do
in
it?
1996.
Why did you decide to go on I'm a Celeb? Talk us through.
Oh, gosh. I think, after heading into the villa one too many times, I was definitely keen to do something. Like, not many people would want to venture outside the Spanish villa. Like, it is absolutely beautiful. But for me, I just wanted to challenge myself in, a new way.
Mm-hmm.
And honestly, I was just so excited to get out of, the dating circuit on televised Australian TV. I just was so excited not to date. I feel like after going on Love Island, it really just jaded me going on dating shows.
Yeah.
I'm sure you guys feel the same. Once you do one, you're kind of like, where is the love of my life? Are they here?
Don't exist.
Yes.
So having that pressure kind of taken off was really exciting to me. And obviously it's for charity. So there's a great cause behind it. But beyond that, being able to just do something new. And I'm fully aware that it's the coolest thing I will ever do. How many times are you ever going to be in the middle of a jungle in South Africa? That's never going to happen again. I feel like that's a pretty cool experience. I just couldn't say no to it.
No, I literally was thinking because you have, obviously I know you and you have such a fun personality, and I feel like on the Love Islands, you don't really see it. No. And I think people don't really know who you are as a person. So seeing you in the challenges and stuff was just yes, this is the Tina that we know, but people will be like, oh my God, she's actually funny and cute and just a vibe.
I just cried all the time. On Love Island, you're just pining over people all the time.
Yeah,
there are moments that I guess you get to be yourself, but so much of dating shows center around your relationship
for sure
with that other person. And I feel especially as girls, I just feel we get positioned as going after the guys a lot of the time, and that narrative. So getting out of that was so important for me, and getting to show people more of who I am, because I feel unless you follow me or know me, you just wouldn't get that at all.
Yeah. Because as a fellow POC, anytime I see another fellow Asian on my screen, especially on Australian reality TV, I'm like, yes.
Yes.
So it was so good to see you on there.
For sure. I feel even growing up, I would watch High Five and Kathleen on
Yes.
High Five. I was yes, I love Kathleen.
Same.
So I know from experience, it definitely does make a difference when you see people who look like you on
for sure.
TV screens,
For sure.
and having a solid experience where you get time, because I feel so often I watch The Bachelor and there'll be a POC in that first cocktail party, and they go up and I might never see them again.
Never.
Exactly.
Didn't even get to know her name. Where
Where
did she go? Bring her back. They don't last that long in there.
True.
No, it's such a true point. I feel you notice it more when you're actively looking on it, but then sometimes you take a step back, you're oh wow, it's just a lot of the same type people on mainstream media, and it's oh okay. So when you do notice it, when you do see someone that's more like you, or you're oh
yeah, that's
that's
why
nice.
representation is so important. Because what's your background?
So my mum is from the Philippines, and then my dad's Caucasian. I was going to say Australian. I'm what is that?
What
is
is
that?
Yeah.
Oh, Australian. So yeah, my mum's Philo, so I've got that in me. But yeah, it was a big thing for me being able to play that part in media and have like diversity.
Yeah. Well, even I felt that like watching you, because I obviously watched your Love Island season. I was like, oh my God, slay. But also I feel like I always notice when someone is like Asian, or I'm like, oh, they're giving like an Asian vibe. I don't know. I just feel like, yeah, that she's Asian or she's one of us.
Yeah.
So when I saw it, I was like, yes. And even like going back to your time on Love Island, like there was times where I felt like you were maybe mugged off or things that happened. I was like, oh, and you had that moment when you were talking about like the experience of dating. And it's so interesting seeing it like play out on TV as well in that Setting. But I was like, yeah, wow, it's so refreshing to see it, but also like eye-opening to like what the experience can be like. But no, I loved watching you on this setting because it was so different. It wasn't focusing on the dating, even though they tried to a little bit
Oh my God.
with the Harrison thing.
I actually can't deal.
Because I was like, this is not, what's going on?
I don't think it's not a thing.
Yeah.
Let's shut that down. But anytime I like post a TikTok at the moment, people are like, but where's Harrison? I don't know. I don't know where Harrison
He's saving
is.
people at the beach, babes.
I don't know. He's in Bondi doing life-saving things. But it's funny because like I like wondered if he was getting similar comments as well. So I went on his like TikTok or whatever he has. I went on Harrison's TikTok and there's like no comments like asking. But on all of mine, literally, I just feel like when you're a woman, like people are so interested. I mean, to be fair, I do have like the Love Island background. So maybe my audience is interested in like who I'm dating. But it's just interesting that like I get all of those comments, even in like interviews I did following like with media, like they're like, what happened? I'm like, you would know. If there was a kiss, they would have been like, producers would have been like, yes. I did hear from some producers that they were like rooting for it. I'm like, for what? For what? It's just not the environment to find love. Like I'm pretty sure within the first like 10 minutes of Harrison being in the camp, I walked out and I was like, guys, announcement, I've finally done a poo. I've finally done one. So he was probably like, not this chick.
Can we please get into the poo situation? Is that vulgar?
The poo,
but like,
the period.
I need to know, like,
so many
what's
questions.
the situation? Is it like a drop toilet? Is it like a porta potty? Like, what is the
So
vibe?
I was most not interested, it's like the wrong word, concerned. My biggest concern before going in was like the toilets. Like what are we dealing with? What are we working with? And Tahnee, you and I were at Beyond the Valley over New Year's, and I was asking Callum, who obviously did Love Island last year.
Can we just clarify? Tina did not tell me before going to the jungle. I saw it live, and I was like, this bitch has lied to me.
I
Because she
also
was
brought
I'm
it
going
up.
away. Don't know why I didn't ask where you were going, because you'd been away the weeks on time. I was like, slay, she's going on another brand trip or something. And I watched, I was like, oh my God. But at BTV, we were chatting about it and we were saying to Callum, you brought it up, and I was like sitting there, I was like, what item would you bring? And just having this like wholesome conversation, not realizing she's going into the jungle. And then I'm like, how uncomfortable will you have felt in that situation?
But I didn't feel uncomfortable because I brought it up because I wanted to know about the toilets. So
Yes.
I asked Callum, like, what are the toilets like? And he threw me off because he said it was like a pulley.
Yes, like a
It's
bucket.
not.
He was saying it was a bucket of shit, and then you pull it up, and you'd have to
said
take
pull, right?
Yeah, pull it up like on like
Okay.
a thingy,
That's-
and then that's what I took out of it, and then you had
Same.
to empty the bucket into like another hole somewhere.
So-
I was like, ew, I would just not poo
Actually,
for the
I've
whole
heard
time.
that as well.
He made it
Yeah.
sound worse, but it is bad. It's
Yeah.
not a pulley because it's a drop toilet. Why would that happen? So basically, from the top, it is like a drop toilet situation,
Yeah,
but
okay.
it looks like a toilet seat and stuff.
Yeah,
And
okay.
there is like charcoal and sawdust. So you put the sawdust after you like go,
Yeah.
so that like absorbs, and
Okay.
then the charcoal masks the scent. I feel like that would be
Okay.
a stretch to say that it's doing
Interesting.
either of those
Sure.
things, but that's in theory
That's
what
the
it should
concept.
be doing.
Yeah.
And then each morning there's like a rotation of chores we all do, and cleaning the toilets is one. But all you have to do is you like go down the bottom. There's like a little door you unlock, and there is a bucket of poo. You got a lid before you skid, is what we say, because you don't want any overflow. You know? Yeah. So
My God.
Yes. But you put gloves on. We would put gloves on, like pull it out, and then you like take it to the
Kelly shit
gate.
gloves.
Yeah, the poo gloves. I did it like 3 times, which I feel like was enough. If I was there for 25 days, I'm like, that's my bit.
Yeah,
like,
that's fair.
it.
Yeah.
I wanted to do it so then I had the full experience, feel like I was doing something.
And you do it by yourself, or do you have a teammate?
I had to have someone help me because it was so heavy. And like the wee is like sloshing around.
Stop.
my God.
It's just like so unwell.
No, it's the mixture of the both textures and smells.
Honestly.
That
And
would
I'm like,
send me.
I'm constipated, so why am I picking up all of your poo? Because I can't even sort my own business out right now. Why am I picking this up?
would be terrified to poo in that environment because I'm just like, no, that's not for me. I don't know if you guys watched Too Hot to Handle. Chloe on Too Hot to Handle had to go to hospital because she refused to poo the whole time, and then she had like an
my
infection because she just
God.
couldn't poo.
Oh my
Because
God.
she was panicking about being in a group setting
That's
and not pooing. I was like, fair enough.
I did that when I was 15. I went on a holiday with my first boyfriend, and there was a hurricane or a cyclone.
Oh.
So they like you couldn't flush the toilets for some reason. You had to go down to the pool,
no.
grab a whole bucket of water, and then manually do it. But I'm like, I'm not going to make an announcement right now that
I'm
I need to
doing
go.
a poo.
Like, I was mortified. Like, at
course.
15 in your first relationship,
Yeah, no.
as far as your boyfriend's concerned, is girls don't poo.
Yeah.
So I was
Or
running
fart.
with that narrative at that point,
Yeah.
and I came back to Australia, and I'm like, I'm not well. My stomach was like protruding. It was so I couldn't risk it in the jungle. I was like, we're not doing
Legit.
this again. We're not
I
doing
just
this
have to know
again.
about periods though. How does that
Okay.
work? Do you
you
tell
get
the
sanitary?
producers? Yeah, like
Yeah.
I'm on my period. I can't do any shark or crocodile challenges.
Oh my God,
You know
true.
what I mean?
I don't know if there's sharks in like
crocodiles.
there's sharks in the jungle.
Snakes,
But
crocodiles.
True. They can smell.
Yes.
Okay. So I'm on the pill. So I was
okay.
like, there's no way.
Yeah,
like,
absolutely.
I'm
We're
dealing
skipping
with
that.
that
We're
in
gonna
there.
skip.
We're gonna
Okay.
skip. We're gonna skip. But I think what the situation was, there was like a little like box with sanitary things in it.
Okay.
But I'm
Okay.
pretty sure you couldn't chuck that in the drop toilet. You had to like just kind of like place it back in the paper bag, and the next day when you're emptying out the things, I think you like, I don't know.
Yeah.
So I think there was things in place, but the recommendation would be like, they didn't say that you had to, but it's easier like if you can skip
Avoid
your
it.
period.
Yeah.
Because it
I'm
just
like,
be so bad.
I love period undies.
I'm
but
a
like,
pad girl.
You gotta, it's the
Really?
logistics of that stresses me out.
That's what's always stressed me out about this. I'm like, oh my God, some of the challenges, like one of the first ones you did, you were in a tank
Oh,
of water
yeah,
and it was
yeah.
freezing cold. I'm like, oh my God, my pad would have been soaking.
Oh my
There
God,
was blood
imagine
everywhere.
the pads just like floating in the tank. You're like in the water and there's like this.
Is that a star? Oh
Yeah,
no, that's a pad.
That's my pad. What is that? Right, yes. I feel like I wouldn't recommend, like, if you ladies are planning on heading in,
Not
don't
a
bring your
tampy
pads.
girl.
I think
Yeah.
you gotta make the switch
Yeah.
to tampons
Or
just
you can
to
get,
feel
like,
more secure.
You can get
You
period swimwear actually.
You can only bring
yeah,
in
babe, yeah.
like 6 pairs of underwear.
I wanted to ask about. Okay, 6.
6
And
pairs
how are
of
you
underwear
washing them? Just like,
by hand, doll.
do you get soap?
You get like this eco soap because
Right.
we love the environment. But
Obviously.
everything goes back into the water pretty much. Like there's like this cute little stream and you like wash near there, but everything goes into it. So you get soap, which I'm not convinced is soap. Like it doesn't start, it doesn't feel like it's cleaning. You just have to live with the fact that you are filthy. Like sometimes
it's just dirty.
we were like, is there too much charge left here? And you just have to live with that. Yeah. You just
And
have
like
to live with that.
shampoo, toothpaste, is that provided?
It's all, yeah. So everyone gets the same thing going in. So all you go in with is like your backpack with like 2 pairs of pants, 2 t-shirts. I was under the impression we were getting double the amount, but that was not the case.
Two's pretty small.
Well,
Like,
it's 1 pair of shorts, 1 pair of long pants. I'm like,
oh,
that's not enough options. Like if it's
No,
hot, and then you hand wash everything. So you just pretty much like live in your own filth. Like I would go wash my hands, and by the time I got back to my bed, I was like, my hands are dirty again. Like what is this? What is that? Yeah.
No sunny or anything either.
Was there
Oh,
any,
there's hand sanitizer. Yes.
was there anyone that was really smelly?
We don't need to name names.
I feel like
You're like
would-
me.
I actually don't think I smelled. I think if you were a producer and you came in, you probably would have thought you guys all stink like crap. But because we're all just living in it, you didn't
Yeah.
smell as much.
Okay.
I will say, obviously there's a fire burning at all times, which I didn't think about. Like the fire's on like all day. We just leave it on because it takes too long to like
Yeah, fair.
start a fire. So the fire's just like on the whole day. If you're cooking, you're like sweating. So I will
Yes.
say the more you cook, the more you would like smell because you're like
Oh, yeah, of
toiling
course.
over.
Okay.
But you're doing a good deed. So anything
Well,
goes.
I was devastated because there was no celebrity chef this time
I
round.
know.
Well, there's
That's
always
what
a
I
chef
said.
that's
I was
making
where's
the,
the
like,
chef?
yeah.
But Sam Thaiday was so good, which I
Love
think he
Sam.
secretly just
Yeah.
like was the chef because he's done a cooking show before. He's
Okay,
done Celebrity Come Dine with Me, and he won.
Oh yes, okay. Well,
So, and he like was deboning the fish. Like we would get given some, like, you win 13 stars, but then you get given something you've never seen in your life. Like I think one day we had 13 stars, which is like the maximum you can get. And 2 black chickens came out. Now, I've never heard of black chicken.
What's
but
that?
everything on it is black. Like its beak is black, its legs is black, like its feet is black, and they're whole. So you just have to like chop it. I'm buying little chicken breasts at the shop. So I was
Feathers
like
and
not
all? Like feathers? Like do you have to pluck?
no feathers to
Okay.
pluck, but it was just bizarre. Like
That's
no
horrific.
meat on it. Like the food you were getting, even though you just didn't know what you were gonna get. It wasn't like, oh, you're gonna get like this crumbed chicken now.
Yeah.
The chicken.
it's like
nugget.
maybe the beans and rice is better off. Yeah.
The meat was good. Like it was just good to like try so much like different stuff there
Different proteins. What was like the
But, yeah.
worst thing you had to eat?
as part of like a dinner.
Anything.
Or just
Anything,
anything.
the whole
challenge.
experience.
I did an eating challenge. So my eating challenge was the first thing that came out was a brain, and I just thought this is just so unwell. Like
Yeah.
why am I
It's
doing
just
this?
not on.
But my biggest fear going into it was an eating challenge. So
Yes.
I was glad that I got one because otherwise I don't think I would have felt like I had that whole like
full
jungle
experience, for
experience.
sure. Yeah.
So I was, because I'm sick in the head, I was kind of a little bit glad that I got an eating challenge. But then the brain came out. I was like, oh God. And we were actually in, so there was a week where we had a boys versus girls
Yes.
situation,
Yes.
which we can talk about. But we had to go up against the guys in our eating challenge, which felt
Stressful.
just so stressful. Like
Yeah.
Sam Thaiday is such a gun. Like
Yeah.
I remember Reggie couldn't eat one of her worms. We had to eat a worm. We had to eat a worm like one night, and he was like, "I'll eat yours for you, Reg." And he just
Yeah.
ate 2 worms, like no issue.
Such
I'm
a
like,
team player.
my
No, the
God.
way he like sculled that like rank drink in like one gulp, I was like, oh my God.
I just don't have the capacity
No.
to do that. But I was lucky because I went against Harrison first on this brain, and he just has a weak stomach. He was like suffering. He was like crying while he was eating it.
the best.
I was kind of like, is this pate? Pate is like pretty gross in theory.
Yeah, it is, but it tastes.
I like
delicious.
pate.
Yeah,
So
so you just
Toddy's
think it's
pate.
Toddy's pate.
We
Yeah.
need to go get
We
the
need to go
Toddy's
back.
pate.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
that stuff is so good. But now I'm going to be thinking of
It's brain.
brain. It's brain. So that was pretty bad.
Yeah.
But having that like
Nah.
time limit on it was good
The
because it meant
pressure.
you just
had to do it.
go.
Yep.
And then, but the worst thing I think
know
the
what you're gonna
rat's
say.
tail. I've told you about the
The
rat's,
rat's
tail.
tail. When I saw that rat come out on the screen, I was like, "You're eating a rat? No way!" Like I was like, "That's horrific."
I thought that too. I started. I was crying. Like I started like bawling because I thought this. I feel like this goes against my values
Yeah.
to eat a rat on TV. Like I don't want to eat a rat.
It's pushing it.
Like the fur because
Ew.
because Sam Thaiday had to eat and so did Nikki. They ate, one of the things the others ate was this eyeball, but it had an
Yes.
eyelid as well
And
with
the lashes, the
on it. They
lashes.
ate
Ew.
lashes. I feel like feeling
No, that's gross.
that's actually
That's probably
feral.
worse, I
I think
reckon.
that's worse. Like I was lucky that I didn't have that.
Yeah.
And then the last thing we ate, which I found challenging, I don't know why, but I really struggled, was balls. I don't know what they were balls the testicles belonged to. They were testicles of boar testicles. Maybe boar testicles. But it reminded me of just like,
What was the texture like? Like,
you know, like that lagered dog food,
oh,
but like
my
hard.
God.
Because I feel like dog food, I'm like, I feel sad if like I can't eat dog food and then our dog's eating dog food. Like
Yeah,
that makes me a
Well,
little
my
bit
dog
sad.
gets fresh mint, so she's actually a spoiled
Same
as
girl.
mine.
Yeah, so
I don't have a dog, so
yeah.
that's just kind of what it reminded me of. But I
Yeah.
think the idea that it was like testicles and I was like ripping it
Nah,
apart with
foul.
my hands, like try eat it. And then I had that like shot. It was like a fish thing.
Yeah, was it like a
It has bones in it.
Oh.
It has like little tiny fish bones like in
Okay,
it.
that's
and it
not well.
is like a delicacy, I think. I don't know, in some
Well,
European
there's
country.
a try, like a fermented fish.
It's
and I
that.
love it, but
Oh,
it didn't
yes.
look like
You're
no.
sick.
But you put it in salads and stuff, and the way they
Yes.
make it, it's really yummy.
Yeah.
Like
It's like
in
a fish
som dum and
sauce.
stuff, it's like fish sauce. I was like,
Yeah.
that's doable, but the
What's it
glugginess,
called?
it's It's for the Thai version is called bala, which is like marinated fish. It's kind of stinky. A
Ours
lot
is
of
called-
Westerners don't like it.
The Cambodians, I'm half Cambodian. We have bahok,
It
and
would
I
be
think
similar.
it's the same
It's
thing.
a similar, and you put it in like salads. It's like you can either use a juice or you have
Yes.
the this. It's like a whole thing. So I can, and they must have blended that up. I was thinking if it's
Yes.
that's doable, but not with the fish bones.
There was kind of the bones, but so much of the time with these eating challenges, I think this is a delicacy somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's all about like the context. That's what I was trying to tell myself.
and having a
unsuccessfully.
sauce, fine. A little
Oh
barbecue.
my god!
a
If
little
I could add some aioli on that, I'd be
salt
like,
and pepper even. Like sriracha, we're chewing it
oh,
back.
it'd be done. Like, give me some tomato sauce. I put tomato sauce on everything. Like, Jungle would have been so easy.
Yeah.
If there was
Yeah.
tomato sauce. Like, I would.
I would have smuggled in, I reckon, a little Macca's sweet and sour or like a barbecue. That's what I would have smuggled.
I didn't realize
Did you
people
smuggle
I didn't realize people actually smuggled things in. I just
Okay.
thought that was like a production bit.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
that
yeah.
like they would like give you your thing and like that's what you smuggle in. Because
Yeah.
like people are walking around with like Cadbury blocks in previous seasons.
Yeah.
So in my mind, I'm like, how would you get that in?
Like they're
'Cause
checking
you
your stuff.
literally rock in on your person. Like I'm wearing my like dress and I'm
Yes.
coming in. I'm like, how am I going to bring anything in?
Yeah.
So what I ended up doing was running around my like accommodation before I went in, grabbing things from the kitchen randomly because I was like, wait, crap, I don't have anything and like I need to bring something in. Like,
Yeah.
what am I doing? So what I did was I cut, you know, like in a sports bra, like I cut like a hole in the sports bra, like
yes.
behind the cup.
Yep.
And I like stuffed all these like lollies in there, like hard-boiled lollies.
Yeah, mood.
Because I felt like they wouldn't melt. And then I also had like a Glad bag of coffee and cocoa powder like mixed
Love.
together. But then I was too scared to get them out. So I never even had my own contraband because I was too scared. I was like, I don't want
trouble.
I don't want to get in trouble. I'm such a stickler for rules because I thought, oh, if we get in trouble, like I don't want to be like the reason why.
Yeah, no,
But in the end, they were like, all right, you're all in trouble. Like, get it all out. And then we just had to like eat everything as fast
Yeah,
as
that
you
was
can. And I've never felt like so sick. Like I was just sitting by the bucket, like pouring it into my mouth. I'm like, this is not a good look. This is my rock bottom.
this is my rock.
Yeah, it
eating,
is, it
eating
is.
stuff out of my sports bra.
Yeah, literally. But then some people had it like strapped to their body and stuff. Like I think Maddie J had like those protein balls like strapped. He like got tape and like strapped it in
dead.
and like in his jocks and stuff. Apparently, I've heard.
And what was it like with all the celebs? Like, were you nervous with the dynamic? Because everyone's from different walks of life, from different. Like, it's so random, the mix of people. What was that experience like? Because you never would really be around these people ever.
I think that's what makes the show and the format so
Yeah.
great because you get such an interesting mix of people and their like spheres would never normally touch.
Yeah.
I think at the crux of it, everyone is a good person,
Yeah.
which is
Yeah.
what's really nice. They're not there to like have a villain edit
Yeah.
or anything like that. So you get a really nice mix of people. And I think it's just because there's nothing else going on. There's an opportunity for you to really get to know people
Yeah.
on a level that you just never would.
Yeah.
Like I just didn't think I would be sitting down with like Dave Hughes,
Yeah.
like talking about my relationship problems. Like he's
Yeah.
giving me dating advice.
Literally.
Like what's going on?
Yeah.
Like you just wouldn't expect it.
I didn't expect him to be like that. I was like, I don't know why I expect him to be a completely different vibe. But
So
was
did
like, oh,
I.
he's so sweet.
I love him.
Yeah.
Like I feel like he was such a nice energy to like be around, and like having comedians like there was Geraldine
Yeah.
and Dave in there, and they were just. It's just nice to have some laughs.
Yeah.
Like we got
Yeah.
nothing. We got literally nothing else going on. I just like to have a little bit of a laugh. So it was so nice having that mix. And I think the dynamic at the start I like struggled with because first off I'm coming in like from Love Island,
Like,
so
yeah.
basically
People know who I
no one knows who I am. Basically, is the situation. No one knows who I am, so I'm going in with that. They don't
Yeah.
know much about Love Island. They're probably like, who is this like 10-minute wonder? Like, what is she doing in here?
Yeah.
So I kind of had that, and that's probably my own insecurities as
it's-
well.
yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
they're not thinking about it like that. But that's how I kind of went into it, like feeling a bit like out of place, like imposter syndrome. And then the other thing was at the time when I went in, I was the only like single person in there. So I genuinely just felt like no one cared about anything I had to say because small talk is like, how did you meet your partner?
Sure.
Yeah.
Like, where did you meet your
fair.
partner? Like, how old are your kids? Like,
Yes.
it's not intentional. It's just what's interesting.
Yeah.
I'm finding myself asking people those questions.
Yeah.
So I felt like people didn't really know how to. I just noticed at first, and I'm sure if any, they're not. I don't think they're going to listen to this, but if they do, I feel like no one asked me like a question. Like the first day, I was like, no one's asking me anything. But it was just that first layer of small talk, and once that chipped away, I feel like there was so much more space for like
Deeper
conversations as we're all spiraling at that point.
Yeah.
There was one deep conversation that really hit home for me. Yeah. And when you cried, I cried.
I'm a crier.
I feel like, well, a lot of us in the room here have faced this issue because you talk about a lot about your internal struggles of facing racism, growing up in Australia. Like, can you share a little bit more about that?
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's something I've only really come to reflect on at the end of my 20s. And I think there's, like, in hindsight, so much of my early 20s, I was just insecure and, like, doubting myself a lot. And I think having gone on Love Island, that kind of gave me a lot of confidence because I honestly felt like it was a running track in my mind that I was a token in there. Like I felt that like from when I got on, and I didn't have an issue with that. I was like, okay, cool. Like they needed an Asian person on it and that's going to be me.
Yeah.
But I didn't think I would get far because of my own like internalized racism and my insecurities. I thought no one's going to pick me because of my race, because of my background. And I guess that just shows like a real world scenario in an amplified environment. Like those are things that you go through high school thinking about yourself, through your dating life. You're always wondering like if that is going to affect who you're with.
Yes.
And I think going on Love Island and having that such a positive experience let me kind of see beyond that. But I think as I've kind of moved past that, there's still like so much to work through because on the other hand, I didn't feel like I fit in with like the other girls, like even like in our industry. Like I do feel like an outlier sometimes. And I think a lot of those insecurities, while I can recognize them now, it doesn't mean I've moved past them because I feel like in my everyday like dating life, I'm so conscious of it. Like I remember my cousin tried to set me up with a friend and she told him like that I'd been on Love Island. And my first thought was like, oh my God, why did you tell him that? He's going to think I'm like this like blue-eyed, like blonde girl with like big boobs or something. Like he's going to think of something crazy. Not that everyone on Love Island even looks like that. I just feel like that is like
the stereotype.
The stereotype. And I find like I'm really nervous if someone hasn't met me, like what they will like think of me. And I've just been like trying to like spend a lot of time like working through that, and there's still so much more to it because I feel like I grew up like rejecting my culture. Like I don't know how you guys kind of feel towards that, but I look back now and I'm like, there are so many parts that I feel like I shied away from and tried so hard to be white and like be like connect to more that side of my dad's side of my family, and like now I look back and I just find that like so sad.
I know. I mean, on my season we all saw my person preferred, you know, the more Caucasian, blonde hair, blue eyed. And then I don't know
like
if you guys
actually
remember
see it and hear it, because it's like I felt to watch it because I was like, this is a vibe this guy's giving to me. Just knowing where he grew up and knowing the type of people he'd be around, I just had that feeling.
Where'd he grow up?
My own
Northern Beaches.
So this is so funny
like
because
so did you.
I made a comment, I think at the time, like when your episode, like when that episode aired, I feel like I was with Jane Lou or something.
Yes, I remember seeing that.
This is the owner of Showpo, everyone.
Yes. And I think we were just talking about how out of pocket it was and inappropriate and just sad that someone would make that comment so freely. Like, what are you really thinking if that's what you think is like socially acceptable to say that you have an issue with, like you're dealing with someone's race as like a barrier to like connecting.
And it was so like, because you were like, I'm not getting what I'm getting out of this conversation, I'm going to ask directly. And the fact that you had to get to that point, first of all, was crazy. But then the response, like I was just like too stunned to speak.
Yeah,
so he was at my cousin's wedding. They're really good friends.
What?
Oh,
stop. Who's your cousin? What is going on?
My cousin, his name, I don't even think you would know him.
Okay.
Was like a a gay wedding, a beautiful gay wedding.
Slay.
But
Okay.
there, I think his partner, my cousin's partner,
Yeah.
is close friends, or maybe, I don't know.
Actually, I do know this person. Yeah.
Do you?
Yeah.
His name's Callum.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes, they're very close.
They're
Yep.
so lovely, but they're like best friends.
Yes.
That's
Which is so bizarre to me because
Yes, we'll get into that
I'm
later.
so confused because Callum's so lovely.
That
But
guy
yeah,
is
and I saw
lovely,
him there.
yeah.
I was like, I'm not going to acknowledge because I feel like he would have seen that video and like what I said.
Of course, yeah.
He's probably not on his
know.
algorithm.
No,
probably not on his
would've got
algorithm.
it sent to him.
It's too woke for him.
I don't know. But there was a scene where I was crying and I
Yeah.
was like, it's not my fault. I'm Asian. And it was like the same when I was watching you when you were like,
Yeah.
I just wish I was white, because that's literally what we're saying to ourselves
Yeah.
in
I
those
know.
moments, which is so sad.
It's really sad because it's like, I think from my experience, because I look white, I've never had the
I find that so
disadvantage
interesting as well.
Because it's like
Yes.
people assume I'm just white because I don't look as Asian as like my relatives and you know my sister and stuff. So it's interesting because I think people then feel like they can like make a little comment because they think that they can connect with you because you look. It's like, no, like I'm actually Asian, and then it's the whole thing like I have to justify my Asianness to people because
You know what though? I found people just make those comments because they don't even realize. Because I get those comments, and then I'll be like I remember like growing up, you would like take photos, and then someone in the group would be like, "Oh my god, I look so Asian in
Like,
that
I've got
photo,"
Asian eyes.
and I'd be like, "Oh my god, so do I," and then they'd be like, "Oh, sorry, but you're like a hot Asian."
Like,
I'm like,
Oh
no,
my God.
and the whole, but you don't look Asian, or like
Yes.
you don't look.
people
it's
would
like,
say that to me, and I'm like, "Are you okay?" I obviously do, doll. What else do I look right
What
now?
do you mean by that?
Like, what do you
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
Are you blind? I'm
Yeah,
literally Asian.
it's really it's an interesting like dynamic because it's like I've seen it from like the perspective, so I kind of get the whole feelings around it. But it's weird to then feel like I'm justifying that because then I feel like when I'm in space with Asian people, I would say that like, oh, I'll make a comment and they'll be like, oh wait,
You're
what? You can't
racist.
say that. I was like, no, like I am.
No, I am Asian.
And then they're like, but then the vibe also changes. It's like, oh, okay, cool. So it's interesting, but it's like again, like I relate to like trying to hide it because I felt like anytime it came up, like when I could speak another language, I was put in like ESL classes at school, and then I felt like you were being punished because you're in like the dumb class or you know, and it just was like, but I can speak both fine.
Totally.
So it was weird because I felt like I would try and like hide it, and it was easier for me because I looked like just like another Caucasian kid, and there wasn't many Asian people at school. Like there was
Yeah,
like a
same as mine.
handful.
I literally had me.
Yeah.
And like
Literally
someone
Yeah.
else.
Yeah.
There was like 3 people.
There was
'cause
like
I grew up in
literally
Northern
less than
Beaches,
you can count a hand. Yeah.
which I think makes a difference. And like,
And it's different
Definitely.
now for sure. Like it's so much more
Yeah.
multicultural. Even like in the area I grew up, there's more Asian restaurants and more like even just other like cultures. It was
Yeah.
very predominantly white, the area I grew up in, but now things have changed. It's like 20 years later. It's more there's more
Diverse.
diversity.
yeah.
But it's still like a thing you notice in media and stuff. Like there's
Yeah.
representation elsewhere, but in those mainstream spaces, we see it more limited. So it was good that you had that platform to be able to like, you know, have the conversation and like talk about in that setting and kind of share your experience. Because I think where else would we see that conversation
Exactly.
going? You know,
Exactly. I think it's hard to like have those conversations, and honestly, you just kind of like forget the cameras are on, and
Totally.
you're just
Yeah.
having like a D&M,
Yeah,
like
for
some
sure.
friends. And I hadn't really spoken. Like I've done some bits over the past
Yeah.
year, like with writing
articles and stuff.
and
Yeah.
articles that I've written, but I haven't like spoken about it. And speaking about it with people who don't relate to it is interesting. Like obviously
Yeah.
it's met like with a positive reception, but
course.
so much of the time, like I actually received a DM today from like someone I apparently went to high school with that I don't remember. I checked and I think we went to high school for like 1 year and I've
Okay.
never seen him in my life. But anyway, but he messaged me. He was like, you know, like I heard about your story on I'm a Celeb. I just want to say like from like my perspective, like I never viewed it like that. And I always thought you're like a gorgeous, kind, beautiful girl. But I'm also like, you don't know me. So
Yeah.
where did that come from?
Yeah.
I don't think we like went to school together
Yeah.
because the school that he said he was from, I only went to for 1 year.
Okay.
So I feel like he's got another image. Like people don't even, I think, my
And
main
it's not
point
an
from that is
attack
people
either.
don't
Like you're not
realize.
trying to attack people for like having treated you a certain way, but it's like a wider issue of how
People
like
don't-
you feel.
People don't understand like microaggressions
For
and small
sure.
comments that they make and how they add up. And I think
Yeah.
when you tell someone your story of like, you know, I felt different at school. I felt like I had this kind of like beauty standard that I was working towards. And then people from your past may be like, but you weren't bullied or you weren't this.
Yeah.
But you don't understand if you're going to make little comments like, oh, that photo's awful of me. I look Asian in that photo.
How is that going to make
then
you
that
feel?
makes me feel a certain way.
Like, I shouldn't look
And,
Asian.
like, it makes you feel like the way you look is wrong. So I feel like on the one hand, like I can imagine like there are so many boys in high school that are probably like, why did she say that boys were mean to her in high school? I'm like, because you didn't even realize you
being
you
mean.
were doing that. And I'd
Yep.
like to hope that it's really different in schools these days, but I honestly just don't know because kids are so mean.
Yeah, they
just say what they
and they've
think.
got social media now. They're even worse, and the conversations aren't being had, and that's why when we do see these moments, or even like on maths this season, when we're having these racial conversations that it's just there, and then it's not unpacked, it's not discussed, it's not. It's just like, okay, this guy said a bit of a racist thing. Let's not talk about how it's probably inappropriate to make a comment
So
about
problematic.
how you prefer
Yeah.
Caucasians. So it's like, okay, you're not being like, I still think it's racist, but you're not being like outwardly racist calling names, but it's still like the general tone is
I think it is
Agree.
the
It
undertone.
yeah, it's undertone, and it's like, how do you explain that undertone and those microaggressions to people that they don't get it? Like from my season of maths, and we've gotten into this, little comments that the husbands would make, like Sandy being called too Indian and like making comments about like the food she would eat. That to me is racism.
That's
and then
bizarre.
it's micro, like not even like the too Indian comment is like crazy
What does
in
that
itself.
even mean?
Yeah.
But what
literally.
exactly?
We know what it means.
And when
It means
you
you're a racist,
ask-
Joel.
And I would ask it back, and they'd just be like crickets. It's like,
For real.
it is racist.
Yeah.
Like,
People don't
how-
notice things. Or I remember on my season of Love Island, I was coupled up at the start with a guy that would just say like some random things. And I think one night we were talking about like when you get like drunk eyes, like when you've had a bit to drink. And he made a comment about how like he looks Asian, or like how no, actually, he said to me, "Oh, your drunk eyes would be like a lot because like
Because you're Asian.
because your eyes are already like that." And I literally was like,
Oh,
and at that point I was like,
God,
"You're not
bro.
my husband."
no, it's not for me, doll.
But I wasn't offended by it because I saw that
it's a bit ignorant. It's just
it's just ignorant, and I just pulled him up and I was like, hey, that's like not an appropriate comment to make. It's
Yeah.
cool with me in this circumstance, but you might say it to someone who's not in the place that I am, and that's not cool.
Yeah.
And his comeback was, but I have heaps of friends who are Asian, so like, I'm like, doesn't make a difference. It's like, I'm not
Literally.
racist, but
no, and it's
yeah.
like you're probably your one Asian friend.
I'm like,
Yeah.
God, it's so bizarre. But I think
Yeah.
it's just like those little things that I guess hopefully if we talk about things more, then those conversations like trickle down
For
so
sure.
people are more aware of the conversations they're having, the comments that they make, and then that's kind of where the real difference is.
Yeah.
So going on something like I'm a Celeb and having a conversation on that platform where, you know
Yeah.
what, like I'm thinking about the audience breakdown,
Yeah.
and I'm like,
It's families. It's very
it's families,
like, yeah.
and I'm hoping like that kind of like makes it down, because
Yep.
when you're on TikTok or Instagram and you're using your platform to talk about things that are important to you, it is only making it
to
to the
circle.
people
Yeah.
who are interested in that content. Like the way the algorithm works,
Yes.
you can have like a strong stance on something, but unless that
Yeah.
person's algorithm is feeding to them, then it doesn't see the light of day. So
sure.
being able to
True.
talk about it on a platform that will go beyond, you know, who my audience is was something
Yeah.
that was important to me.
Yeah. No, I love that.
Definitely.
Sure.
I just want to touch base real quick on, I don't know if you guys go through this, but like I feel like being Asian in Australia, like in the dating scene, I either get fetish size, is that how you say it?
Yep.
Or like they don't want to bar me at all. 'cause
I
I'm
spiral
Asian.
about this. We spiral.
Me
We've
and
been
Tina
I
spiral
death
about
spiral.
this. Well, Tina made me spiral with this point.
Oh,
the
so-
dating app thing.
So basically on
is- yeah.
like
Yeah.
I'm so like
Do we get into
blacklisted
it?
by
No.
like all dating
No,
apps at the
seriously,
moment.
we're dating app haters, but
They're like not working with
But
me, and
this
then
is-
I'm like,
and you know
but I
what?
like dating apps because I find them useful.
Yes.
Like I'm a busy girl. I like
Yes.
the dating apps.
Yes.
Respect the dating apps. I'm on them.
Yeah.
All my dates last year, dating apps.
Yeah.
So like respect the dating apps. But
however,
point
we
in
got a point to
case-
raise because I
to
tested this
raise.
theory out, and you're right.
Thank you. So you can actually go on and filter through. So you can filter by age, location, but you can filter by race, which
Yeah.
I just think, why are we promoting this? It's just unnecessary. I feel like you are
Yeah.
making it into something it doesn't need to be.
For
Like,
sure.
if you're putting that
Wow.
as a feature, okay, the argument could be like, but there are people on this platform that want that feature. There's a demand for it. But I feel like you're encouraging
Like, why
a
is
lens
there?
that doesn't need to
Yeah.
exist. And I just think as an app, like, you need to do better and remove that.
And that's a conversation thing. Like, also, you can kind of get a general vibe at what someone looks like, maybe where their cultural background lies. But that's something you'd want to chat on a first date. What's your background?
Exactly.
Like, do you know what I mean?
True.
But when we had this chat, and I had, because I always go through a phase of deleting, that spiraled. But I initially went through a phase of having my race as Asian on the apps. The significant amount of likes versus me not disclosing that was huge.
That's really?
Yeah.
Did you test this?
I tested it out. I'm
That's
talking
crazy.
huge. Yeah, huge.
You should put a black wig on.
Seriously. But it's like, are people
one
just
for
like
you.
filtering out
Well,
Asian people?
I think
like,
it's hard as well because if I was to meet someone, like honestly, you know what? I'll take like Love Island. My first season of Love Island, finished with my partner at the time. If he had like seen me on an app, there is no way he would have swiped right. He liked to tell me over and over again that I wasn't his normal type, which just means I'm
want blonde,
Asian.
blue eyes.
I'm Asian.
Yeah.
Let's say it.
Yeah.
But if I was on an app, he never would have swiped right. I can safe to assume.
Yeah.
And I think it's a shame, like on dating apps, like everyone's making a judgment. I make judgments. All we have is the visual.
photo.
No one's reading the prompt. If I don't like what I see, then I'm not.
See ya.
Let's not joke.
That's
like,
true.
Yeah. Let's be real.
But I think having that feature there, I'm wondering now, am I getting screened before you even see what I look like? Because on the one hand, you're being screened for your looks. So there's that.
Yep.
But now there's an element of, but my race is an option. It's an option for you to do. Like the app has made that a capability for you to screen out. You could just have it as Caucasian, like if you wanted.
Yeah.
But to what you said.
What you said too. Then if you get the fetishized people, they can then just filter to like their fetish, which is just like, it's really yuck. I feel like it's like even like my cousin's experience because she's full Thai. She has the same experience as you, and we've spoke about this, and it's like one or the other.
Yeah.
And it's just like, this is just not great.
It just makes me ick when I look back at their history and all they've ever dated was Asian girls. I'm like, I don't know why that.
Guys, one of my my only exes that I would like speak positively of, like we had on good terms. This is like I was 20 years old. It's a long time ago. But ever since me, all of his girlfriends now have been Asian. And it really confuses me.
Okay, interesting.
I don't know. He's such a nice guy though, but I'm like, I guess
It's
I don't know,
interesting.
It confuses me. I'm like, that weirds me out. And all
I
my
think
photos are on his
racial
page
preferences-
still. All the photos are there, and he never posts Instagram. So I'm like, I'm next to that. I'm like,
Oh,
this is weird,
no.
dude.
That's so
hot
weird.
tip. Delete that.
Yeah, delete.
You gave him
Archive
yellow
your
fever.
photos.
No,
Yeah.
God.
But it's so funny how I think racial preferences when it comes to dating is problematic in itself.
Agree.
Like, obviously, you have your preferences when it comes to height.
I've had to really check
job.
myself.
Yeah, no,
like in
100%.
honesty, like I feel like
There's
I've
double
had to check
standards for sure.
myself.
Yeah.
But also I feel like having gone through like internalized racism, I feel like that has an effect on my dating.
Yeah.
Like I shy away from like I feel like I find myself making judgments on people because of like how I've like treated myself or like even like if someone's like white, then I think, oh, well, what will you think of me? And like where they're from, like you make all of those judgments.
For sure.
I'm always judging.
No.
We're always judging on the dating apps.
We listen
It's
and we
hard.
judge.
We listen and we judge on the dating apps. Everyone do be listening.
No,
and judging.
seriously. Well, speaking of Love Island and exes, was there anyone that you were potentially concerned about coming in the jungle? Because we were chatting about this before, and the panic that I had for you. The hint of a certain person might have been entering because the trauma that you've been through times two. Talk us through that.
Yes, there was a certain snake I was worried about entering the jungle, but they were nowhere to be seen. Honestly,
Thank God.
I just have trauma because like I've not done like one, not two, but three
Yeah.
shows with
this
my
person,
ex.
yeah.
And like we have like no contact, no relationship by now at this point because I just realized the friendship didn't exist, so it wasn't serving me.
Yeah.
But I was so like mortified, and at the start of the year, like I had friends being like, he's not posting on social media. Like, he's not posting. I was like, where is this guy? Like, I wouldn't have spoken to you about it at the time.
We were speaking about it. It was like our last messages were like, because we thought he was potentially going on another show. And then we were talking about this. And then I was like, hang on. I was then like, you're probably panicking because you were thinking he was going to go on your show. And I didn't have that context at the time. And then I was like, oh no, what if they've done this stitch up again and then he's entering in?
Oh no.
What would you do? And
they thought it was
No.
very funny because I was like panicking like while I was there. And like when you first get to South Africa, you have like a chaperone and they like look after you in your like accommodation. And unknowingly, I must have been stressing, of
course,
because she in the background had text production and asked if she could give the final, like, he's not here, not here. And then one day she was like, hey, I just want to let you know, like, I've gotten the all clear to tell you, like, he's not here.
God.
And that made it through, like, even when the psych, like, visits you, like, before you go in, like, to have, like, a little chat before you go in. He's known me for years because it's, like, the same production company as Love Island. So he was like, yes, I heard that you were very nervous. He's laughing. I'm like, you're crazy.
No, not
You've
on.
put me through this.
But it's a valid thing, and I don't think should mind me saying this, but one of the girls on my season was going on your season of I'm a Celeb. She ended up pulling out.
You did tell me, but
yes.
I think she spoke.
Anyway, she has spoken about
who was
it.
it?
Yeah, Bronte.
Okay.
So Bronte was.
She should have come.
Well, I thought she was like, you guys could have vibed. I was
Yeah.
like, shame. So Bronte was meant to go on your season of I'm a Celeb. We were chatting about it. She ended up pulling out because she had anxiety around her partner going on the show because there was a teaser that said like, something at first sight. It was like the Jungle People. It was like, who's going to be on? And it was like, oh my God, it was like a villain I don't know. And then he was commenting, he was just commenting on it.
But when we spoke
Yeah.
about it, that the teasers didn't come out till so late, so she still was going on it up until
he was for whatever, it was she pulled out quite late. So it was really last minute, and it was because stuff was being pushed out, and then he was feeding into it. So she was like panicking that he was going to be there, and fair enough, I would have
That's
pulled
fair.
out too.
Yeah.
And
in my mind, I can't pull out because I've known in the past, like, as
Yeah.
it gets close when I think he's going to be on the wrong God.
You're
But
not
I'm like,
gonna
well,
cop it.
you're not going here.
Yeah.
If I'm not, so.
Exactly.
But yeah, I was very
It's just
relieved to
panic.
do something because honestly, I think it's like doing a dating show. So much of your personality is attached to that person. I have people still being like, are you with
Still
so
together,
like,
yes.
people be like, I love you so much. You still with so I'm like, you don't love me that much.
Yeah.
Do you?
You missed a couple chapters.
You missed
doll.
it's 3 years ago.
Yeah.
But so much of like who you are is attached to that person.
Yeah.
For sure.
And not having like an opportunity to just like be myself. Like I feel like this was the first time that I could just fully feel like myself.
Your own
And like
person,
because you're not in a dating environment, you're actually able to let your walls down. Like I've always been true to who I am.
Yeah.
But if you're trying to date people, you're not gonna like
interview
let it
self.
all rip. Like you're not gonna let it all hang
No.
loose. Like you leave some mystery.
Yeah.
But this time like I felt comfortable enough to like just like say whatever, do whatever, and just have like fun and have a fun experience without my ex like across the room, which was an ideal situation for me. And I'm like, bye. Bye. That was satisfying for me.
Now, one thing that I've always been curious about is how much the participants get paid for this. Because although you're doing it for charity,
Yes.
like how much does one get paid for going
So
on? I'm a
I don't
Celeb?
know how much everyone else got paid. I know
Yeah.
how much I got paid, but
Is it worth it?
For me, it was never like a money situation. Like honestly, if they knocked on my door, I would have done it for free because of the charity element. Like my charity was Dementia Australia and my pop went through that and it just kind of like ripped a hole through the family at the time.
Yeah.
So that was really special to me. And then like I said before, like it's a once in a lifetime opportunity. I just never could have said no to it.
Yeah.
I feel like the money for me never mattered. Like obviously like you're going through hell. So like you want to get paid for it.
Yeah, well, yeah, it's your time and it's like work really.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you still have rent to pay.
Exactly.
bills.
Of course.
But then like the reality of it is like you've got like Dave Hughes, who is like one of Australia's like leading comedians, and like me from Love Island. So like do the math on what that is. So I'm not like, I feel like some people kind of like from shows will look at like the casting back, why were they paid that much? I'm like, because they're billing that much.
Yeah,
Because they're
yeah.
making that much. Like why would I get
They
paid
were
like as much
begging
as
on
Dave
them. Yeah.
Hughes? Like
Yeah.
what? So yeah, I won't talk numbers, but
So people do get paid differently according to.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I feel like there is. I mean, I don't know. I am assuming just because I read the leaked article. So if you want to go find the leaked article, which I don't know,
gather from that.
you can gather from that. But I'm assuming that there is tiers.
Yeah.
I didn't actually know before I went on there was tiers, but then I read the leaked article like everyone else, and I thought.
Okay, fair enough.
Fair enough. Fair enough. And like those people, I feel like those like gems that they get on the show,
Yeah.
like they've been chasing them for like years.
yeah.
Like I know that those people have been asked over and over. So like it is interesting though because it is for charity.
Yeah.
So I do find that a little bit like I didn't realize that you could be like making such money on it when it is like that charity
That's why I
element.
was
I'm like,
always so intrigued.
right? I didn't know that either.
And let's just say like, oh, we want to pay Tahnee 30 grand, but she only lasts for 2 weeks. Does she still get the full 30 grand? Like, do you know what I mean? I've always wondered like how that all works.
Yeah,
I
too.
think
like
there's like a
tiers. Yeah, there'll be-
base.
yeah.
There's a
Okay.
base, and then from a certain point onwards, there's like an amount that like tacks on to that.
Because you all of you guys have to stay for at least, what is it, like
So the
first
eliminations
elimination.
didn't end till like the 18th day.
yeah, like that's a lot. That's
That's
a
actually long, but
period
it's
of
because it's
time.
not airing the whole time.
Sure.
So it's crazy because like you don't, as a viewer, like you don't think about when it's not on air. We're
What are you guys
literally
doing?
just
Yeah.
sitting there. Like I'm having naps.
Yeah, I'll be
Beforehand, they were like,
sleeping.
prepare. You're going to be really bored. You might have naps some days. I'm not napping. I'm not napping. If I napped on Love Island, they'd be like, get up, put on a
Yeah.
bikini.
No.
Get up.
Get your legs out.
Get your legs out, doll. Get it out.
Like it would be like, can you bring a Kindle at least? Like that's
No,
a book. No, like you just
You
can't
sneak
do
in a
it.
Kindle.
I would be sneaking a Kindle. In
Your
my
boobs
bra.
are like square.
Seriously?
You're like, don't look. Don't look. Don't look.
It's just
Eyes up
my
here.
botched boob job.
Eyes up here. Yeah, no. There's no Kindles in there.
Yeah.
No.
Okay. And would you do next thing you see for yourself? Would you do another dating show?
God,
Or
no.
would you do another reality show?
Dating for me, as you know, we've had many a conversation. It's dry out here. It's hard out here, and I feel
International
like,
one maybe then?
No. I'm too because see, the thing for me is like the reason why I did Love Island because I honestly was like I'm struggling out here. I need someone else to like handpicked me like a selection of people and they cannot leave the premises.
Yeah.
They're stuck with me. They're stuck with me. And then since then, like I think by like Love Island Games, which was a lot less focused on dating, and I was there for 2 days. Like let's not play about. But I got in there and I thought, God, I'm jaded by this. Like it's not, I can't see it being like a genuine thing. And like, I think when you do like another dating show, like usually you're on it with other people who've already done it.
Yeah.
So it just feels like, and I want something real. Like I don't want to, and I don't want to date, I don't know about you guys, I don't want to date someone in the industry.
Neither.
No, same.
I mean, you've got, sorry, that's an off-camera conversation.
Yeah, I'm very against the industry vibe. I think just from experience.
I don't know about you guys, but I just feel like girls that put themselves up to be on a TV show, I'm like, yes,
different.
cute.
Yeah,
Get it.
career girly.
But like men that put themselves on a TV show, I'm like,
They just wanna
why?
get laid. They
There's a
wanna get
double.
laid.
There's a double standard.
There is a double standard,
and I don't
but-
care about it.
and the way they use it is different the way we use
At least their double
Yeah.
standard isn't like, oh, they get paid twice as much. Theirs is
Yeah.
just like,
I just
you
want
a dating
to have
show.
multiple hookups and girls just to
Like, there's
with
definitely a
me.
different like.
But there's something about a man that goes on TV that wants to be an influencer. That's an
so
ick to me.
ick.
Right?
Like,
God.
Influencing is for the girls. I'm sorry,
Yeah,
it's for
let's
the
leave
girlies.
it for the
And
girls.
that's
the
how
girls'
I
gays
stand
in the
by that.
days, and everyone get
Go be an
out.
athlete or something.
Get out.
honestly. Like,
And then that
kick around
doesn't
a
work for them.
football.
Then they go back into.
yeah. Not that like you can't be an athlete as a woman because they're just as good and even
Oh,
better.
for real.
But just
Yes,
nagging.
just
Yeah.
as good. God.
Well, this has
Love
been
this
an
chat.
amazing chat. We should book out like 2 hours next time and just like have a little have a yap.
Yeah, this was like a personal conversation.
Get some matcha next time.
Oh, yes. No, well, thank you so much for having me. Like, we chat all the time, so it was good to do it behind the mic.
Full debrief.
Yes.
Yes.
Thanks, Tina.
Thank you.
Thanks. Bye.